Good morning. Welcome to the May 13th, 2025 New York City Banking Commission meeting. I am Mary Christine Jackman, Assistant Commissioner of the Department of Finance and Treasurer for the City of New York. I represent the New York City Commissioner of Finance, Preston Midland, on the Banking Commission. I would like to start by introducing the other members of the Banking Commission. Mayor Eric Adams, Representative, Chief Policy Advisor for the First Deputy Mayor, Reggie Thomas. And Comptroller Brad Landers, Representative, Deputy Comptroller for Policy, Annie Lovers. The primary purpose of today's meeting, dated May 13th, 2025, is for the Banking Commission to A, vote on its fiscal year 2026 discount and late payment interest rates recommendations for the early and late payment of property taxes. B, approve a list of reviewed financial institutions as official depositories for the City of New York, more commonly known as the New York City designated banks. And C, vote on a Banking Development District deposit of $10 million for Ponce Bank. The Commission would like to welcome the members of the public who have joined us today. A recording of these proceedings will be posted on the Banking Commission webpage of the Department of Finance website. We will begin the meeting with a roll call. Reggie Thomas, Mayor's Representative, Chief Policy Advisor for the First Deputy Mayor.
Present.
Annie Lovers, Comptroller's Representative, Deputy Comptroller for Policy. Present. Mary Christine Jackman, Commissioner of Finance's Representative, Assistant Commissioner and Treasurer. Present. We have a quorum and we can now conduct the business of the meeting. Acceptance of the May 9th, 2024 minutes. The next agenda item is the acceptance of the minutes of the May 9th, 2024 Banking Commission meeting, when the Commission last designated New York City depository banks. The draft minutes of that Banking Commission meeting were previously distributed to the Banking Commission members for review. Are there any comments or corrections to the May 9th, 2024 Banking Commission meeting minutes? Hearing no comments or corrections to the minutes, may I please have a motion to approve the minutes of the May 9th, 2024 meeting? Motion to approve. Can someone please second the motion?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item is the fiscal 2026 interest rate recommendations. Our next agenda item is the annual recommendation of interest rates for early and late payment of property taxes in fiscal year 2026. As required by Section 1519A of the New York City Charter and Section 11-224.1 of the Administrative Code, each year the Banking Commission is responsible for recommending rates to the City Council no later than May 13th, today. Fiscal year 2026 discount rate recommendation. The Banking Commission recommends that the discount rate for the early payment of property taxes for the fiscal year 2026 remains at 50 basis points, which is unchanged since fiscal year 2015. Fiscal year 2026 late payment rate for certain property tax payments. The Banking Commission recommends that the late payment rate for certain property tax payment plans be set at 5% for fiscal year 2026. Fiscal year 2026 late payment rate recommendations. The City's fiscal year 2025 rates for late payment of property taxes were 6% for properties and co-ops with assessed values no more than $250,000, 9% for properties and co-ops with assessed values greater than $250,000 but not greater than $450,000, and and 16% for properties and co-ops with assessed values greater than $450,000. The Banking Commission recommends the following fiscal year 2026 late payment rates. 8% for late payment of taxes for properties and co-ops with assessed values no more than $250,000 for fiscal year 2026. 15% for late payments of taxes of properties and co-ops with assessed values greater than $250,000 but less than or equal to $450,000 for fiscal year 2026. 18% for the late payment of taxes for properties and co-ops with assessed values greater than $450,000 for fiscal year 2026. There were several factors considered in making these recommendations, including the city's need to encourage timely payment of property taxes to ensure the provision of vital services, the late payment rates charged by other comparable tax collectors across the country, interest rates charged for real estate secured consumer loans, rates charged for credit cards, and the overall current interest rate environment. Are there any questions regarding these interest rate recommendations? If there are no further questions, I will now read the 4 interest rate resolutions, and we will vote after I have completed each resolution. Resolution number 1, fiscal year 2026 early property tax payment discount rate recommendation. Whereas, pursuant to Section 1519A of the New York City Charter, the Banking Commission shall send a written recommendation to the City Council of a proposed discount percentage for the early payment of property taxes for the ensuing fiscal year, no later than the 13th of May. And whereas the Banking Commission's impact analysis for fiscal year 2026 projects that the return on investments will result in approximately $29.6 million of interest earned on taxes collected early. This will more than offset estimates of foregone tax revenue of negative $7.6 million discount given, plus foregone interest income on foregone taxes of $359,000, resulting in a net gain in revenue to the city of approximately $21.7 million. And whereas semi-annual payers are billed twice per year and quarterly payers 4 times at an estimated total cost of $7.40 per invoice, when taxpayers pay their entire year's property tax early, eliminating the need for further billing, the city saves from processing fewer invoices. In fiscal year 2025, a total of 111,006 property owners made early payments, saving the City of New York an estimated $1.6 million in invoicing and administrative costs. If similar savings are realized in fiscal 2026, the total impact of the 0.50% discount will be a positive $23.3 million. And whereas New York City's cash flow projections for June 30th, 2025, the cash flow projections for June 30th, 2025, the end of the fiscal year 2025, is approximately $6.8 billion. The Banking Commission does not recommend increasing the discount rate from 50 basis points to 100 basis points. A 1% rate will not materially increase the cash flow, but would further reduce the city's tax revenues from a negative $7.6 million to negative $15.2 million. And whereas there is no economic reason for the Banking Commission to change the discount rate of 50 basis points for fiscal 2026, the impact of having this discount rate in place translates to a total net gain to the city of a positive $23.3 million. If the statutory default rate of 120 basis points were to be invoked, the city's net loss would be a negative $18.2 million. If the Banking Commission were to increase the discount rate to 100 basis points, this would result in a revenue loss of approximately $15.2 million. Therefore, be it Resolved, the Banking Commission recommends to the City Council that the discount rate for the early payment of real property taxes shall remain at 50 basis points per annum for fiscal year 2026, and be it further resolved that said discount rate is to be offered only for that portion of the real estate tax that is paid before its due date. May I please have a motion to approve this resolution?
Make a motion to approve this resolution.
Thank you. Can someone please second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
All opposed? Motion carried. Resolution number 2, fiscal year 2026 late payment rate for certain property tax payment plans recommendation. Whereas pursuant to local law 36 of the City of New York 2023, the Banking Commission shall send a written recommendation to the City Council of a proposed late payment interest rate for late payment of certain property tax payment plans for the ensuing fiscal year no later than the 13th of May. And whereas the May 2025 applicable federal rate is 4.05%, which under local law 36 of 2023 must be rounded to the nearest half a percentage point for a base of 4.5%. And whereas the applicable federal rate has decreased almost 101 basis points since last July, and whereas a rate lower than the current applicable federal rate has further tax implications for the people the law was written to help, now therefore be it resolved, the Banking Commission recommends to the City Council that the late payment rate for certain property tax payment plans shall be set at 5% per annum for fiscal year 2026. May I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
All opposed? Motion carried. Resolution number 3, fiscal year 2026 late property tax payment interest rate recommendation for the properties assessed no more than $250,000. Whereas, pursuant to the New York City Administrative Code, Section 11-224.1, the Banking Commission is required to recommend to the City Council no later than the 13th of May the proposed interest rates to be charged for non-payment of taxes for properties with an assessed value not more than $250,000 or not more than $250,000 per residential unit for co-ops. And whereas the proposed interest rate shall be at least equal to the prevailing interest rate charged for commercial loans extended to prime borrowers by commercial banks operating in the city, the prime rate. And whereas the Banking Commission notes that as of May 13, 2025, said prime rate stands at 7.5%, as published by the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. And whereas the Federal Reserve plans to keep rates at these levels for an extended period of time, this decision was influenced by concerns about the rising risks of higher unemployment and inflation. At this time, there is much uncertainty in the global economy, and the FOMC does not expect it will be appropriate to reduce the target rates until it has gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. And whereas it is the city's best interest to encourage the prompt payment of property taxes by all taxpayers, now therefore be it resolved, the Banking Commission recommends to the City Council that the late payment interest rate to be charged for non-payment of taxes for all properties with an assessed value of not more than $250,000 or not more than $250,000 per residential unit for co-ops be set at 8% per annum for the year 2026. May I please have a motion to approve this resolution?
Make a motion to approve this resolution.
Can someone please second the motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution number 4, fiscal year 2026 late property tax payment interest rate recommendation for properties assessed greater than $250,000, but less than or equal to $450,000. Whereas pursuant to Local Law 24 of 2021, the Banking Commission is required to recommend to the City Council no later than the 13th of May the proposed interest rate to be charged for non-payment of taxes for properties with an assessed value of more than $250,000, but less than or equal to $450,000, or more than $250,000, but less than or equal to $450,000 for residential unit for co-ops. And whereas said provision of Local Law 24 required the Banking Commission to impose a rate at least 4 percentage points per annum greater than the prevailing interest rate charged for commercial loans extended to prime borrowers by commercial banks operating in the city, the prime rate. And whereas the Banking Commission notes for the record that as of May 13th, said prime rate stands at 7.5%, as published by the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. And whereas it is in the city's best interest to encourage the prompt payment of real estate taxes by all taxpayers, now therefore be it resolved, the Banking Commission recommends to the City Council that the late payment interest rate to be charged for non-payment of real property taxes where the assessed value of a property is more than $250,000, but less than or equal to $450,000, or more than $250,000, but less than or equal to $450,000 per residential unit for co-ops, be set at 15% per annum for the fiscal year 2026. May I please have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve.
May I please have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution number 5. Fiscal year 2026 late property tax payment interest rate recommendation for properties assessed greater than $450,000. Whereas pursuant to the New York City Administrative Code, Section 11-224.1, the Banking Commission is required to recommend to the City Council no later than the 13th of May the proposed interest rate to be charged. The proposed interest rate to be charged for non-payment of taxes for properties. Whereas said provision of the Administrative Code requires the Banking Commission to propose a rate at least 6 percentage points per annum greater than the prevailing interest rate charged for commercial loans extended to prime borrowers by commercial banks operating in the city, the prime rate. And whereas the Banking Commission notes for the record that as of May 13, 2025, said prime rate stands at 7.5% as published by the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. Whereas it is in the city's best interest to encourage the prompt payment of real estate taxes by all taxpayers. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Banking Commission recommends to the City Council that the late payment interest rate to be charged for non-payment of real estate taxes where the assessed value of property is more than $450,000 or more than $450,000 per residential unit for co-ops be set at 18% per annum for fiscal year 2026. May I please have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve this resolution?
May I please have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'm going to get a drink, excuse me.
That's a lot of talking now.
You're just jealous.
2025 designation of New York depository banks. The next item on the agenda is the designation of banks that are permitted to handle city funds. Pursuant to Section 1524 of the New York City Charter, the Banking Commission shall designate banks in which all monies of the City of New York may be deposited. The Banking Commission has promulgated rules contained in Title 22 of the Rules of the City of New York, RCNY, which set forth the requirements for designation of depository banks. In accordance with Title 22 RCNY, the following proposed resolution is for the Commission's approval to designate the following banks as New York City depository banks for a 2-year period commencing May 13, 2025. This will be resolution number 6, 2025 approval of New York City depository banks. Whereas pursuant to Section 1524 of the New York City Charter, the Banking Commission is responsible for designating banks that are permitted to hold city funds. And whereas pursuant to Title 22 of the Rules of the City of New York, Section 1-03, subsection B, the term of the designation shall be for a period no longer than 2 years unless the Banking Commission by majority vote accepts such designation period. And whereas the following 31 banks have submitted the required documents and meet the requirements to become a New York City depository bank pursuant to Title 22. Number 1, Amalgamated Bank. Number 2, Bank of America. Number 3, Bank United. Number 4, BMO Bank. Number 5, BNY Mellon. Number 6, Citibank. Number 7, Citizens Bank. Number 8, Connect One Bank. Number 9, Dime Community Bank. Number 10, Flagstar Bank. Number 11, Flushing Bank. Number 12, International Finance Bank. Number 13, Israel Discount Bank of New York. Number 14, JP Morgan Chase Bank. Number 15, City Key Bank. Number 16, Metropolitan Commercial Bank. Number 17, Modern Bank. Number 18, M&T Bank. Number 19, PBAC Private Bank and Trust. Number 20, PNC Bank. Number 21, Ponce Bank. Number 22, Popular Bank. Number 23, Ridgewood Savings Bank. Number 24, Santander Bank. Number 25, Spring Bank. Number 26, State Street Bank and Trust Company. Number 27, TD Bank. Number 28, US Bank. Number 29, Valley National Bank. Number 30, Webster Bank. Number 31, Wells Fargo Bank. Resolved, the Banking Commission approves the listed banks to become New York City depository banks for 2 years. Are there any questions or discussion on the resolution to approve these banks for designation?
Yes.
Good morning, and thank you, everyone, and thank you, Assistant Commissioner Jackman. First, I want to thank the staff of the Department of Finance for all the work that goes into this process, from reviewing these 1,000-plus page applications to working with us to put together our first ever standalone public hearing last week. We appreciate your work and our joint efforts to make the Banking Commission more transparent. I also want to thank on my team Sam Stanton, Senior Counsel for Public Policy, Andrei Vasilyev, Assistant Director for Economic Development, and Francesco Brindisi, Executive Deputy Controller for Budget and Finance. Thank you to my fellow banking commissioners for being partners in this process and listening to public testimony last week. There was tremendous turnout from many people who are in this room today. We heard from dozens of New Yorkers in person and through online submissions about the harms these banks have caused in accelerating the climate crisis, widening the racial wealth gap, and discriminating against New Yorkers. The Comptroller's Office took every word of that public testimony to heart, including the urgent need to establish a public bank. Today, we're proud to vote in favor of first-time applicant Ponce Bank and the renewal of Popular, both of which serve Latino communities who are disproportionately unbanked and underbanked in our city. However, in the aftermath of the presidential election, we've witnessed a disturbing pattern of preemptive capitulation to Trump's anti-climate, anti-DEI agenda in the financial sector. The Banking Commission has a responsibility to evaluate banks based on their financial position and their demonstrated commitment to anti-discrimination and community reinvestment. I'm disappointed, though not surprised, the Adams administration is voting to approve banks that fall short. The Banking Commission does not have to be a rubber stamp for these banks in perpetuity. We can be responsible fiscal stewards while having the courage to reject the status quo when it does not serve everyday New Yorkers. I will be voting no on 3 major banks: Wells Fargo, Citibank, and JP Morgan Chase. In protest of the Adams administration's failure to take seriously the Banking Commission's responsibility to demand better from these banks. Additionally, I will vote against the designation of Flagstar and Ridgewood Bank due to concerns regarding poor credit ratings and overwhelming testimony from New York City tenants who experienced landlord harassment and negligence in buildings financed by these institutions. The climate crisis is one of the greatest risks facing New York City. While the Banking Commission does not formally require to consider banks' commitments to combating climate change, it is irresponsible to ignore the role that banks play in fueling a crisis that actively harms our city. Wells Fargo has completely abandoned its climate commitments, becoming the first major U.S. bank to walk away from its pledge to reach net zero emissions. At the Banking Commission hearing last week, dozens of New Yorkers spoke out against Wells Fargo's climate backslide and urged a no vote. From the perspective of the controller, Wells Fargo Bank should not be designated under Title 22 of the rules of the City of New York. Wells Fargo failed to meet the plain requirements of the city's rule in failing its branch closing test. Wells has also a long history of allegations of employment discrimination, racially disparate lending, and anti-union retaliation, violations that have led to multiple lawsuits and settlements. There is no justification for voting to designate Wells Fargo, which has no open accounts with the city. Citibank has complied with the Trump administration's attempts to illegally claw back $20 billion of greenhouse gas reduction funds meant for clean energy investments. Blindly following the Trump administration's orders, Citi froze grantees' accounts without explanation, leaving them without vital funds and forcing some to file lawsuits. These actions raise concerns about Citibank's willingness to put the political whims of the Trump administration above their own customers. At the Banking Commission hearing, many New Yorkers testified against Citibank, not just for backtracking on its climate commitments, but for its role in allowing the Trump administration to claw back $80 million in federal FEMA funds awarded to New York City. In New Yorkers' view, this behavior suggests a dangerous pattern of compliance with federal overreach at our expense that should not be awarded with more city deposits. I will also be voting no on JPMorgan Chase's designation. The Commission heard compelling testimony from Muslim and Arab New Yorkers who shared detailed accounts of alleged discrimination. Most notably, we heard about the abrupt and unexplained closure of the Yemeni American Merchants Association's bank account. This incident is not isolated, but related to de-risking practices that disproportionately harm Muslim and Arab communities, and experienced advocates have described as banking while Muslim. These incidents and patterns call into serious question Chase's compliance with anti-discrimination laws. Finally, after hearing testimony from New York City tenants who experienced landlord harassment and negligence, we are voting against the designation and the applications of Ridgewood and Flagstar banks. Additionally, Flagstar Bank is the worst credit rating of any applicant to the Banking Commission. As such, we cannot vote in favor of designation. The Banking Commission is charged with ensuring that banks seeking to do business with New York City government are held to the highest standards. The Adams administration continues to shirk that responsibility by ignoring the controller's calls to conditionally designate these banks and approve them over our objections. Accordingly, we must vote no. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or discussion? All right. May I please have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve this resolution.
May I please have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
I will be voting no on Wells Fargo, Citibank, JPMorgan Chase, Flagstar, and Ridgewood, and yes on the remaining banks.
Thank you. Motion carried. Necessity exception for Capital One Bank. Title 22 RCNY, Section 1-03, subsection F, subsection 1, authorizes the Banking Commission to designate as a city depository a bank that does not meet the requirements for designation of city monies, where in its discretion the deposit of such monies in such bank is necessary to obtain essential services that are not reasonably attainable elsewhere. It is due to this reasoning that the Banking Commission has the discretion pursuant to this provision, known as the necessity exception, to conditionally designate Capital One Bank. The conditional designation prohibits the city from entering new contracts with Capital One Bank and requires the city to replace Capital One Bank with another provider when existing contracts expire. While Capital One Bank provides extensive community service through HPD loan accounts, Capital One Bank chose not to submit the extensive application package required for redesignation or to enter the required information into the passport system. Resolution number 7, necessity exception of Capital One Bank. Whereas pursuant to Section 1524 of the New York City Charter, the Banking Commission is responsible for designating banks that are permitted to hold city funds. And whereas pursuant to the Title 22 RCNY, Section 1-03, subsection E, subsection 1, subsection II, a New York City depository bank must submit required documentation. And whereas in accordance with Title 22 RCNY, Capital One Bank chose not to submit documentation required for this designation. And whereas the bank provides unique services for the Department of Housing Preservation and Development that cannot easily be duplicated with another provider. Therefore, be it resolved, the Banking Commissioners hereby designate Capital One Bank as a depository bank commencing May 13, 2025 until current HPD agreements expire. Are there any questions, discussion, and resolution to designate Capital One under the necessity exception clause? May I please have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve this resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. The Ponce Banking Development District BDD deposit. The last agenda item is the request by Ponce Bank for 10 million BDD deposit at the bank's New York State approved BDD branch located at 2244 Westchester Avenue in the Bronx. This is Ponce's first BDD branch approved by the New York State Department of Financial Services in June 2024. The Commission recommends that the City of New York make a $10 million deposit at the Ponce Bank Bronx, New York BDD branch. Resolution number 8, Ponce Bank Bronx BDD deposit. Whereas the New York State Department of Financial Services has approved the first branch of Ponce Bank to participate in the Banking Development District program. And whereas Ponce Bank has requested that the City of New York make a $10 million deposit at its Bronx BDD branch located at 2244 Westchester Avenue in the Bronx. Therefore, be it resolved, the Banking Commission approves a $10 million New York City BDD deposit at the Ponce Bank branch BDD. May I please have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve.
May I please have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Other items. Does anyone have additional items to discuss before we adjourn? We would like to thank D.C. Schlane's Tax Policy and Data Analytics team, Matthew Penfold, Alexander James, and John Campagna. D.C. Carney's Finance Information and Technology team, Kirk Nain, Aswida L. Schwarke, and Thomas Hatzigiorgio. D.C. Zimmerman's Treasury team, Watan Florizu, and Zana Kasianova, for their outstanding contributions to make this Banking Commission meeting a success. We would also like to thank the Treasury Banking Division for setting up the meeting room and ensuring that everything was in place for the success of this meeting. Having completed the business of this meeting, can someone please make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
May I have a second?
Second.
Motion carried. The May 13th, 2025 Banking Commission meeting is adjourned. Thank you.